What's going on, Swole fam? Welcome back to the fucking gym. I'm your host, Papa Swolio. Take a moment, hit the like button, subscribe to the page, the channel, and of course, check out papaswolio.com for the best merch and mugs in the game. You don't want to miss out on any of that. Go check it out, links down below. We are talking nutrition today, and we're going to talk about EBT SNAP benefits, aka freebies, handouts, and we're also going to talk about the elimination diet. So we got a bunch of nutrition stuff going on, so make sure you also drop your thoughts in the comments down below. First off, nutrition is paramount. It's the second pillar of the 7 pillars of Swolenormous, and understanding that the food quality is the most important thing. Now I'm going to sit here today and tell you how you can go through and become your own scientist and figure out what foods work best for you. This is what we do inside Swolenormous X for members. You can check it out, swolenormousx.com, download the Swolenormous app, and we take you through the whole play-by-play with the Nutrition Jumpstart. We have all the information you need to execute a proper elimination diet. So let's start off with EBT, SNAP benefits, handouts from the government, and people that are on hard times, supposedly, and also people that are using the system as their source of main income are no longer or will likely not be able to utilize those benefits for junk food. Now, I'm not actually sure if that has passed or if that was the proposal or that's where it's going, but I don't think you should be using government funds, aka the taxpayer, you and me, paying for you to feed your family poison. Because this is what happens in a system that's broken, okay? These foods make you sick. These foods are gonna make you a burden on society, going to the hospital, getting medication. It's this whole mill, all right? Food companies poison you, pharmaceutical companies provide the treatments. In other words, the subscription that gets you on this endless payment plan for your illness. Okay, there's no incentive to get you healthy. If you don't eat these foods, you exercise, you get sunlight, you get quality sleep, you're not going to be sick, or you're going to have much less issues because you are controlling what you can control. You are avoiding those pitfalls from habits, from lifestyle. All meat should be grass-fed. The fact that we have to call it grass-fed beef is ridiculous. It should just be beef, and then it should be poison beef. It's weird, but it should be for beef, for chicken, for rice, for potatoes, for sweet potatoes, for vegetables, for fruit. It should be for actual food. You should not be buying Pepsi. You should not be buying Doritos. You should not be buying, I don't know, just crap. This is just common sense. This is subsidized. This is government subsidized poison. High fructose corn syrup, soybean oil, canola oil, all this stuff is just ultra processed industrial waste. So I, a taxpayer, I understand if you are unemployed and you need something to float you until you find a job in the next month or so, that makes sense. Unemployment makes sense. It helps people stay on their feet and it helps them transition into a new job if that's what's necessary. But for people that are just utilizing this as their only source of income, even people that are unemployed, you have money so you can pay your rent, so you can buy groceries, so you can survive until you're able to be productive for society again. Okay? This is my money, this is your money that goes into these coffers that is utilized when people are in dire need. Not when they have 10 kids and they don't want to get a job and they milk off the system and they're buying hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of garbage at Walmart and at the supermarket. We see the videos online all the time. So I think that is a positive. You should not be buying garbage. Now, people in the comments of those videos, before we get into the elimination diet, they are going to complain and say, well, America's about freedom of choice. You can't tell people what they can buy. You have the choice, or you have the ability to choose what you want to purchase. Yeah, that's with your own money. When you make money, you get to make those choices. With other people's money, mine, yours, aka taxes that go to the government that are giving these people an opportunity to survive without being productive in society, not your money. So there's limitations. It just makes sense. You take out a loan from somewhere, there might be certain restrictions as to how you can use it based on the loan or based on the agreement with the loan provider. Let's say you borrow money from a relative or from your friend. Maybe you're just need something short term. Hey, can I borrow $1,000? I'll pay you back next week. Okay. Then you take that money and you spend it on something that you said that was completely unrelated. You said you need it for this, and then you went on vacation. Yo, that's not what that money was for. I want it back. Or no, you can't use this for this and the other. I'll pay for you, and then you could pay me back. Whatever it is, right? An agreement between friends. So, you know, when it's not your money, you don't get to choose. When it is your money and you made it, yes, there are certain choices you should be making, but that's when you have freedom. That's when you have the ability to make those other choices. So I agree with not allowing, you know, the free money crowd, the handouts. I do not agree with them going towards garbage food. I want people to be healthier. I want these things stricken from the shelves. You shouldn't be eating all this concentrated canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil. Now, I don't necessarily want to make it illegal, but I don't know, maybe it should be. You know, maybe we should get rid of some of these things. I'm all for freedom, but I mean, there has to be some sort of regulation because people are obviously too stupid to look into this stuff for themselves. They don't read ingredients. They'll eat whatever they are told to eat. If it's in the supermarket, it must be healthy. Let me go eat it. Let me go to Whole Foods because that is just a healthy restaurant and a healthy grocery store. Everything in Whole Foods is great, right? It's all healthy. No, most of that stuff, 80% of the stuff in Whole Foods is crap. You know, it's all processed crap, or it's a different name for garbage foods. We have to educate people, but of course, there's certain things that are not going to happen from the bottom up. They should happen from the top down. There's certain things that should not be in our food supply, and when it's taxpayer funded, it should be for real food. That's my opinion. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. So let's talk about the elimination diet. Now, I'm going to be general with this. If you want more details, then you could join over at swolenormousx.com. It's not complicated. This is not reinventing the wheel. This is understanding that your body is going to react certain ways to certain foods. Now, there are certain food types that you can survive on and thrive on, getting all your micro and macronutrients for a long period of time, like carnivore. Carnivore is just a complete elimination, all right? You're not gonna survive eating lettuce all the time, but you can easily survive eating meat, organ meats, eggs, dairy, things of that sort. And focusing on eliminating commonly allergenic foods. Even most dairy. Raw dairy is usually good. Some people have to implement it with kefir and kind of tiptoe in there, so let's leave that aside. But eating beef, chicken, fish, these things are going to give you all the nutrients you need and will take out many of the types of foods, not that you can never eat them again, but many of the types of foods are going to cause you bloating, joint pain, eczema, thinning hair, brittle nails, let's see, sunburning easily, problems sleeping, gut, I say bloating, gut distension, like just chronic inflammation. And a lot of these foods that you think are healthy or you've always been eating are causing you consistent problems. And then you cut back on some carbohydrates, but I'm still having issues. And then you cut calories and you rebound and you gain it right back. And people yo-yo because they actually don't approach nutrition properly. You got to approach it from first principles. What foods should I actually be putting in my body? Just because it fits in your mouth hole doesn't mean you should be shoving it in there. You gotta stop putting everything in your fucking mouth. It's ridiculous. Just because you can put it in your mouth doesn't mean it should go there. That should be pretty common sense. Take notes. So what you do is you eliminate a lot of these commonly allergenic foods. A lot of vegetables cause people problems. Ultra processed grains, you know, oatmeal, breads, you know, especially in the United States, a lot of these things, sodas, any of these energy drinks, X, Y, and Z. Now, there's a lot of different granular things that you can cut out. And this is why going carnivore for a couple months is a great approach, because that's all-encompassing for the most part for an elimination. Now, the quality of the food that you eat when you're carnivore, that does matter. But bottom line, the elimination diet is anything you remove. You could only test what you remove, because if you don't remove it, you can't re-implement it and test it. So you remove these foods for 6 to 8 weeks. That's a month and a half to 2 months. The longer, the better. And then what you do is, one at a time, you implement the food back into your diet. You eat a little bit of it on Monday, maybe for 1 or 2 meals. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, you go back to your previous elimination, and then you observe any of the changes. Sometimes the foods that you eat are going to cause you a migraine on the spot. They're going to cause you bloating. You're going to feel distension in your stomach. You're going to feel shitty in the moment. Sometimes these things can happen the next day or 2 days later. So you test individual foods after that month and a half, 2 months of essentially cleaning out, and then you see how these individual foods work for your body. Now, you might say, Papa Swolio, that's too much work. I got to wait 2 months and then test things individually. Well, the body is a complex system. Your body, your genetics, what you've exposed your body to over the years, your gut biome, everything is built upon your entire life. So how you will work with certain things, that really depends. Generally, most humans are going to be eating the same foods or will thrive on similar foods. But a lot of you that are watching that are already part of the Swole fam, you could drop it down below. below what you removed and what you found and what benefits you found from the elimination. Because my nutrition, I talk about it all the time on the podcast and in these videos, I talk about what I eat. And there's a lot of members that eat similar things, but you might have different combinations. You might have them at different times of the day. We have members that train at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're getting after it really early. That's going to be different than someone who's waking up at 9 o'clock and training at 5 p.m. You know, the timing of when you eat things. What's the best time to eat A, B, and C? So we're always answering individual questions. We're always customizing for our own individual life. Now, most of the members of Swolenormous X, we eat steak, we eat chicken, we eat fish, we'll have raw dairy, we'll have yogurt or kefir, we'll have eggs, but we'll prepare eggs differently. We'll have eggs at different times. Maybe some people eat eggs every day. Some people have eggs twice a week, 3 times a week. Some people eat steak every day. Some people eat steak 3 times a week, or ground beef versus ribeyes. There's so many different things you can do. And then we can talk about macros, we can talk about overall calories, but the quality of those calories matter. There's so many people that are obsessed with macros, obsessed with calorie counting, but they're not testing what foods actually work for your body. So once you find out which foods work best for you, then you can eat more or less of them. It's really not that complicated. And I think the unfortunate thing is most people don't realize that they have the power. You have the power to test these things. You don't need a triple blind study. You don't need a degree. You just need to have the discipline to execute a certain nutritional protocol for a couple months and test these things yourself individually. And you will find a difference. Once you remove some of these foods that are causing you problems, your body resets. You know, you'll have a lot of things that improve. Like you'll have less brain fog, you'll have less joint pain, your inflammation will go away. You'll probably flush out some extra water weight and some inflammation and just shit that's been nagging at you. And then when you bring something back in, oh my God, my stomach hurt and then my back was aching. That's a red flag. You know that food should be watched and monitored. And maybe in some circumstances, you just never eat that again. Or if you're going to, you understand the consequences, and maybe it's a quantity issue. Maybe you could have a little bit, but if someone's making a dish and it has that in it, you stay away from it or you remove it. This just gives you the tools in order to live a better life. I'm not going to tell you exactly what you should be eating, but it's going to be more similar to what I'm eating than is different. That's going to be a better place to start, but I'm trying to give you the power, give you the tools, and give you the confidence that you need in order to actually make these changes. You don't need a degree. You don't need to understand the organic chemistry of what's going on in your body. You don't need to know that. That could be cool. You could really, fall in love with this stuff and just get obsessed and go down the rabbit hole and, cheers, props to you for doing it. But it's not complicated. And too often we're complicating things that are very simple. Now, yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes a couple months, but every single person that has done an elimination has just been shocked as to what they found out and how much better they feel. And technically, you're always on elimination. I'm still on an elimination. And what I mean by that is once you start customizing your nutrition, it becomes your own custom elimination. The elimination diet slowly morphs into just your nutrition, your diet. Now, your diet is not a diet. A diet is like, oh, I'm going to drink maple syrup and lemonade every day for 7 days. That's some stupid fad cleanse bullshit, and that stuff doesn't work. But the elimination diet morphs into just your diet, what works for you. And then you're going to find out if kale fucks you up. You're going to find out, oh, when I eat this American bread, it's garbage. I need to bake my own sourdough at home, and when I have it fresh, it tastes great and it feels great, and I don't have the same issues. Whatever it is. You're going to find out what works best for you. And trust me, there is a nutritional protocol for you. You just have to actually give a shit. Most people don't care enough to find out. They just want to do what someone else does. Hey, Papa Soy, what do you eat? I'll eat that. I think that would actually be a great start, but there might be certain things that bother you. That quick transition into just literally what I'm eating, you might have some indigestion because your gut biome is changing over and readapting to the different types of macros or different types of foods. You have to learn which foods are accessible to you, where you can get them at your local farmer's market, where you can order them. Certain things you have to order, certain things you can get locally. You just have to, you're changing habits. You're going to the store and you're buying different things. You're preparing food in a different way. If you have family or other people living in the same house as you, people will have to shift and you have to make different meals. And it's really hard when you have kids or a spouse or someone and they're used to eating the same crap and you want to make a pivot and then you're exposed to junk in your house. Like your house is your sanctuary. You shouldn't have poison in your house. You need to be able to control your environment, control the controllables. And that's what the 7 pillars are. And that's what pillar number 2, nutrition is. You can control your nutrition. The 7 pillars are community, nutrition training, recovery, mobility, mindfulness, and the seventh one is consistency. So those are things you can control. Think about that. Those are things you can control. You can't control what you can control. I know that's like, well, no shit, dude. But everyone's trying to control things they can't control. You're trying to control what, the president does in DC. You're trying to control what your friends do. You're trying to, control other people or tell other people what they should do or worry about something that is just, you're reacting to things. Most of the things in your life you can't control. You can't control the weather, you can't control how other people feel, you can't control the chaos, but you can control your environment, you can control your food, you can make those choices, you could set yourself up for success, you could build those habits. And doing an elimination diet is very fundamental. You remove these commonly allergenic and inflammatory foods. Commonly, I'm not saying for you, I'm not saying you can never have them again, but you need to understand, and it gives you perspective. You start understanding the impact of what these foods do to you, and you realize, holy shit, this is a big deal. When people talk about seed oils, when people talk about processed sugar, when people talk about food quality, I've been harping on this for a decade, longer. And still I see it's macros and it's calories in, calories out. These people don't give a shit about being healthy. They don't care about what actually makes your body function optimally. You could build a lot of muscle eating garbage foods. You can lose fat and get leaner and be poisoning your body. We know that. Just because you're skinny doesn't mean you don't have disease, doesn't mean you don't have problems. So it's really important to understand that the body and everyone's body is a complex system. And you are an accumulation of all these habits and environmental toxins and your gut biome and everything that just evolves over time. And habits compound. It's harder and harder to break habits that are built in there. And I just want you to understand that you have the power to make those changes. You have control of your nutrition. You can do this, but you have to actually care. And if you care, you'll put in the work. And members over at Swolenormous X, members of the Swole fam, do put in the work. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what I've been talking about since I started Swolenormous, is the elimination diet, is customizing your nutrition. Is it complicated? No. Is it easy? That's relative. Does it have to be easy? Should it be easy? If it's worthwhile achieving, should it be easy? Stop looking for an easy way out. Stop looking to get abs quick. Stop fast. I want it now. Nothing worthwhile having is going to happen quickly. You could put in more effort and speed things along, but you really have to understand this is a lifelong pursuit. I'm going to be lifting until I die. I might even die someday while I'm lifting. Great. I'm trying to do better when I train. I'm trying to get stronger. I'm trying to build muscle. But I also know it's like that kind of treadmill, like I'm gonna die. You're gonna die, but don't you want to be able to handle yourself and to move and to bend and to twist and to be functional when you're older? Don't you want to give yourself more quality years? I don't want to be on medication and being pushed around and wheeled around and get my ass wiped for the last 25 years. People are on medications in their 50s until they're 80. I don't want to be on medications for 30 years and just be fading away. I want to be vibrant. I want to take care of myself. And I always say this quote, but I'll say it again. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So stop making excuses. Sure, other people might have more muscle and so started earlier and I wish I started earlier this and blah, blah, blah. You're just making an excuse. You're getting in your own way. The elimination diet is for everyone. It's very simple. You cut out inflammatory foods, cut out the processed sugar, cut out the processed carbs, cut out the vegetable oils and the seed oils. These are ultra processed industrial waste. Get these out of your nutrition. The best way to do an elimination diet is to go carnivore for 2 months and then implement these different fruits, these different carbohydrate sources and other things that maybe you were eliminating, and test them and see how it affects your body. See how I say that? Your body. You got to stop just worrying about what anyone else says. You have to actually test these things. And this is how I got so much success in the gym. I read a lot of magazines, 20, 25 years ago, and I was like, oh, this is what this bodybuilder does. So let me try this. I want to build this muscle. And this guy says this. Let me try that. And I took the things that worked for me and I left the things that didn't. I keep on compiling. And if someone says something and I hear about it and I check it out, oh, look at this exercise. That's dumb. Look at that one. That's kind of cool. Let me try that. Oh, I really liked it. Let me do that one more often. You just kind of figure things out. And you always have to be interested in learning and understand that your body is going to change. What works for you today might not work in 3 years. It might not work in 10 years. The way I train now isn't the way I trained when I was 20. And the way I train now isn't likely going to be the way I train in 20 years. Could be similar, but there might be other things that come up that I'm more interested in or that I want to focus more on. My priorities change. It's okay for your priorities to change. When I was 25, it was get as big as possible. Nothing else matters. Now, yeah, get as big as possible. I don't want to get as big as possible because I'm not taking all the steroids and all that stuff, but I want to build muscle. But is it the number one thing? No, it's not the number one thing. Building as much muscle as possible, it's not the number one thing. That was like my focus. I get jacked. Now, got a family, I got a business, there's other things that are gonna take priority. It's a huge part of my life, so don't get me wrong, but when you go through different phases of training and different interests, it's fine to pursue those things. It's fine to change your approach. Your life does not have to look like anyone else's, and your diet should not look like anyone else's. It might look very similar. Hell, it might even be exact to a couple people, or hey, you take that and you really like it. But you gotta test these things for yourself. Understand that you can test these things. You don't need a degree, you don't need any fancy knowledge, you just have to have the discipline to execute a proper elimination diet. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop in the comments what your experience is with the elimination diet. If you're a member of Swolenormous X, shout out to you. Drop in the comments how you enjoyed the elimination diet. If you want to join myself and all the amazing members of the Swole fam that are crushing it inside Swolenormous X with the said elimination diet, customizing their nutrition and making absolute sick gains, swolenormousx.com. Download the Swolenormous app. It's all available there for you. And of course, awesome merch, mugs, and so much more, papaswolio.com. We'll see you next time.